in your relationship with your significant other, you may be showing up a little bit bitchy, a little bit pissy about this and that. And they'll look at you and go, what are you pissed off about? Like, what's going on? They may ask you that question.
Nothing.
And you go, nothing, I'm fine, right? Okay, so the point is if you put the question that way, it could be kind of come across as blaming and or confrontational, as opposed to asking the question a little bit differently, which could be, some of you seem a little out of whack today. I don't know what it is. Are you operating on top of something? Now, what's the difference between that question and the question I asked before? Are you pissed off at me? Or the question of, I don't know, you seem out of whack. Are you operating on top of something that you want to share with me? Well, listen, the first question right away assumes that I'm pissed off at you. So in other words, you're making it about you, as opposed to just asking the question of what are you operating on top of? And it may absolutely have nothing to do with the other person. It may have nothing to do with them. It may be, oh, sorry, I wasn't even aware of it. Something, I had a shitty day, and or I just as I pull in the driveway, I look and I got a flat tire, or we got a flat tire. But the point is that it's a way to actually express and to have a conversation that doesn't, number one, put you in the center of it. It's not about you. It's about them. And asking that question just opens up a different conversation, and there's a different energy around it.
And there's no blame, and that's, I think, what the evolution of these conversations are. When you think about the mindset of trying to evolve relationships and communication, and community, etc., is that we don't want to put people on the defensive. So what's wrong? What's wrong? What's up with you? To me, that's more aggressive, instead of, are you operating on top of anything? Is there anything you want to share? And it gives permission for them to say yes or no. And if they choose to say, you know what, I'm operating on top of this, this, and this, and I know there's nothing we can do about it, and I'm prepared to move forward. To me, when I think about my athletes, think about all the things that are going on in people's lives. I go around the circle in 7 areas of lives. For example, what are you operating on top of physically, mentally, emotionally, anything going on with your family? And usually there's something going on family-wise, relationship-wise, spouse-wise. But in a confidential conversation, they say, this is what's going on, and I'm operating on top of it, but I'm going to be okay because I'm committed to what I'm doing right here, right now. But the fact that they had the space to say it really just diffuses that stress and actually takes any kind of blame or shame or lack of responsibility right away. And they can deal with it later. Maybe it's a speeding ticket. They're going to have to deal with it anyway, but they're pissed about it in the moment. And I can feel that they're pissed, but I don't know if they're pissed at me or they're pissed at, their partner. I don't know. But until they say, I got a speeding ticket, and take responsibility, and, I'm pissed out, it's not about you. That really, to me, is what diffuses energy and moves that professionalism forward.
So there's a part of this that, first off, if somebody's operating on top of something, they may not even be aware of how they're showing up. In other words, often what happens is if we're operating on top of something, we don't necessarily know that we're being curt and abrupt. Maybe we're being aloof. Maybe we're just being a little bitchy. Maybe we're not being as communicative. Our body language is shut down. There's all sorts of things that can show a sign of, us operating or somebody operating on top of something. The thing about it is that those individuals who want to evolve start to take a look and say, okay, well, how am I occurring? And yeah, I am actually operating on top of something, and it could be that you're in the same room having to deal with somebody that you've worked with for a number of years that keeps doing certain things, or that, you feel did something, worked you over, did something, said something to the boss, said something in a group of people, whatever. You have a charge around it and you're operating on top of it. And sometimes the thing that has to happen is that needs to get expressed and said out loud. It's the story of the old story of used to be, the husband comes home and kicks the dog, and it's got nothing to do with the dog. It happened at work. It was something that his significant other in his world did the day before, and it all, boils up. And the next thing you know, there's a bit of an explosion, right? So what is the issue? And are you aware that you're operating on top of something? So real life stuff, you and I, you're way more creative. You are way more esoteric in kind of how you operate on a day-to-day. And sometimes for me, that could be really annoying because I'm more pragmatic. I want to get shit done. Don't get in my way. And I'm just going to work through it. And you're kind of like a little bit more loose around that kind of stuff. Not that you don't get things done, but you do it different. And so you have that way of doing things that can sometimes piss me off, but I know that I'm operating on top of it. Now, I'm either going to say something to you about it or you'll mention it to me.
Yeah. So use a recent example. It happens a lot where you and I will be socializing, for example, and I'm not as social as you, but when I am with people, I really want to connect. I want to have a deep connection. I want to have a great relationship, conversation, etc. So, for example, the other night, we had some people over and it was a great conversation, but I also knew that you had a 5 a.m. wake up call because you were speaking in Eastern time that day. So I was trying to be respectful of that. But then we got into a great conversation.
Mhm.
And then you were getting a little pissy. I could
Well,
sense it.
no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I just got quiet. I wasn't gonna engage in the conversation because I knew
Right.
that it would go till midnight and I had to be at 5, up at
But you
5.
didn't no, think about it. It's not that you didn't engage in the conversation, you pulled out. So I knew something was off. So instead of you saying, "I'm gonna go, good night, everybody. I'm going to bed," you pulled out, you separated yourself from the conversation. I felt it, and I felt like crap. And eventually you were brilliant and hugged everybody and said goodnight because these are wonderful people and good friends. Went upstairs, and then after they left, I came upstairs and I said, "What's up? Are you making me pay for something? Like, I don't get it. Why are you being such a dick?"
And I wasn't being a dick.
You
But
kind of
anyways,
were.
okay,
You kind of
but
were.
that's
But what I realized, okay, go ahead.
no, but that's a perfect example of operating on top of something. So yes, in the moment it was like, okay, I got to get to bed. It was a bit annoying, and you had extended the conversation, so that's the way it worked out. But that's an example. Those are little
Oh,
things that
no, finish.
happen.
Finish. How did we finish it? It wasn't just that. I went upstairs. I asked you, "Are you pissed at me? Or
Mhm.
are you making me pay?" And you said, "No, I'm operating on top of the fact that I have to get up at 5 a.m. for a 6 a.m. speaking gig because I'm on Eastern time." And you extended the conversation. I went, "Got it. I'm sorry. Thank you." But we finished it because I could feel you were operating on top of something. And I don't want to go to bed mad or confused as to why you were all grumpy and pissy when, I thought we were having a great night. I knew I was giving you full permission to leave and to go upstairs and go to bed. These are grown up people. They're not expecting, to be super formal and have you walk them out the door. But I felt it. And I think what we did in that moment is we used our coaching, and you said to me, "I'm operating on top of the fact that I was tired," and you extended the conversation. And I got to say, "Ah, you're right. I'm sorry." And I'll probably keep doing it.
Yeah, yes, you
Sorry,
will.
babe.
I know that. So the point of this, in terms of what are you operating on top of, why it's important to understand, is that number one, you may not be aware that that's what's showing up. It takes some real conscious awareness. To be aware of what are you thinking, what is actually going on. Do you even notice that you're being agitated? Do you even notice that your energy is shifted? And are you aware that you're actually operating on top of something? Now it could be, you walk into a room and somebody who you feel did you wrong, or 5 years ago, you walk into that room, there they are, and you're operating on top of an old story that may not even be relevant anymore, but it impacts how you show up. It impacts your thought process and to what degree are you present. Now, do you have that awareness? And, we often within shift coaching, we start to ask the question, you know, are you aware of what you're thinking? Are you bringing your subconscious into your conscious? Are you actually having are you having an awareness of the conversation that you're having with yourself, because those conversations are really important. And in this case, the conversation that you might be having with yourself is really about being frustrated or annoyed with a significant other, I don't know, former partner, a workmate, whatever that might be. Okay, so the thing about this and what you're operating top of is that you first have to realize that you are, and then identify it. It's helpful to express it or just really realize that's what's happening. And just even knowing that you are could, in fact, shift the energy around it.